Hello and welcome to Odds on Serie A Matchday 10. A really interesting match day with Inter Roma, with Napoli Milan, and with a change in the top of the standings. Daniele Fisichella, hello.
Ciao Edu, so Inter back on top of Serie A after the very drab game of Milan-Juventus, ended 1-0, exactly how Allegri wanted, and another manager sacked. Udinese pulled the plug, so out comes Sotil, in comes Cioffi, returning manager. Already three
Oh,
managers sacked
Cioffi,
in Serie A.
what a,
Sorry, and,
what
and,
a
and, have a little,
legend.
and have a little bit of a cold. Sorry.
Bless you. Well, you were saying for weeks and weeks that Udinese might sack the manager. So Sotil is out, guys. Tell us your tips, your comments for this match day with two really big games. And of course, press the like, subscribe. And now let's go on with the show. Danny getting sick like Pioli watching his team unable to score goals in Europe and in Serie A ahead of the visit to Diego Armando Maradona. Well, if you want to bet on Milan not to score, for instance, at the Maradona, you have a welcome offer here with 1xBet thanks to Oddspedia, 130%. So use the promo code Oddspedia YouTube. Danny, some games not that appealing for the fight of the Scudetto, but still interesting ones. For instance, Friday, Genoa, Salernitana is the first game. This is a relegation clash. Genoa doing better, 8 points. Salernitana unable to win a game, 4 points, and they were lucky to catch a draw against Cagliari. Probably the best news for Salernitana was Dia scoring a brace.
Yeah, last season top scorer for them, 14 goals, already scored 2. They had issues in the summer because he wanted to move to the Premier League, so he was out of the squad for a bit. And guess what? Salernitana drew another game, 14th draw of 2023. They are masters of draws, but they need to start seriously picking up some wins. No clean sheet so far for Salernitana, sorry, for Genoa. Only one clean sheet for Salernitana, and Salernitana is a side that has never taken the lead so far this season. They always went behind. Genoa, on the other hand, keep conceding late goals, conceding 6 goals in the last 15 minutes of games. Maybe there is an issue with physical condition. Against against Atalanta, they were without Retegui. Again, no Retegui, no goals. Also against Milan, they didn't score. Maybe this time Gilardino is going to try to play Malinowski a little bit closer to Gudmundsson, but really they looked a little bit tame, at least for the first 50, 60 minutes. Then in the end, he had a very good chance, good save from Carnesecchi, but Genoa are bottom for shots and bottom for possession, average 20 minutes per game. They're very good on the counter attack. If you look at the expected goals, they have got pretty much the points they deserve. Genoa, 3 out of 4 games for Genoa have been above to score and over 2.5 goals. Let's not forget they held Napoli, they beat Roma against Milan. They were unlucky, but when they concede first, Genoa so far they always lose. They don't have that ability perhaps to bounce back during games. Both to score for me, 2, potentially a draw, but I'm gonna go for both to score.
Good one. The both teams to score. This game is tricky, according to Tyson. Well,
Yes.
on Saturday, another tricky one, probably also a draw. Sassuolo Bologna. This is a derby in the Emilia Romagna. You say, no, Danny? You are going for other stuff, perhaps back in Bologna, the most
Exactly.
important team of the two of them, 14 points. For Bologna, doing great to be honest, but they are drawing also a lot. Danny, only one defeat this season for Bologna, coming from a victory against Frosinone. For Sassuolo, 3 victories this season and 2 against Inter and Juve.
The fact with Bologna is that not only they look good, they look on the eyes, they're good to watch, but this season they are also getting the results. As you mentioned, unbeaten in 8 games. That's the longest positive streak since January 2009. And Motta has been in charge for 38 games now, so basically an entire season since he took over last season. and he gained 61 points, so he will be really close to the 7th place. Probably is one of those managers, one of those teams that is not talked enough around Europe. You can understand it why in the summer Aurelio De Laurentiis thought about him for the Napoli bench. Bologna, as I said, they play well. They are 7th for ball possession in Serie A, 10th for shots taken. They scored 2 or more goals in all the last 3 matches. If they had a more prolific goal scorer, I think they could really think about a top 7 finish. They are unbeaten currently, Bologna, in 7 away games, stretching back to May last season. Sassuolo, again, the masters of unpredictability. They did well this season because they beat Juventus and Inter, but if you look at the table compared to last season, they have 2 points less, and they've already lost 5 games. Only in 2019-2020 have lost more games in the first 9. They haven't kept a clean sheet in 9 Serie A domestic games, Sassuolo. So they are very difficult to bet on. They are unpredictable, but you can be almost certain Sassuolo, especially at home, they will concede chances. They will probably concede a goal. 4 out of 9 games of both sides have been over 2.5 goals. Bologna, 4 away draws. They are the only unbeaten team away from home alongside Inter and Napoli. I look at the Asian handicap 0, and it seems to me too good to pass it. 194. If they win, you win. If they draw, you get your money back.
Okay, you are back in Bologna in this Sassuolo. Bologna next game on Saturday. Lecce Torino, similar odds, to be honest, as the Sassuolo Bologna. The bookies expect a draw. Basically, it plays the same every single outcome. That means that it's very difficult, Danny, going for the outright market with Lecce. Draw in the last 2 games against Udinese and Sassuolo. Worst things for Torino lately. 4 games without scoring a goal and winless in 5.
They were a little bit unlucky against Inter because I think they controlled them well in the first half. But then in the second half, after the centre back Schurz got injured, and by the way, is going to be out for the season, they collapsed. They had already some issues at the back without Buongiorno. So they lacked a little bit of focus, a bit of attention. And in the end, I think 3-0 flattens Inter a little bit. So they are in the real emergency, especially at the back. Tamese might be out as well. Buongiorno, the captain, might be back. They conceded 8 goals away from home this season. Torino, and they look a little bit toothless. Second for shots taken. Last year away, they were really good, Torino. They were 4th in the away table, but now they face a Lecce side that, again, they are difficult to predict because, first of all, they conceded the first goal in 7 occasions, Lecce, but they rescue 6 points. So they go behind, but they manage to find a way back into the game. And same they did against Udinese, thanks to the changes. D'Aversa brought in Sansone, Piccoli. These are fairly experienced players in Serie A who mastered the goal. Then he's also got players on the bench like Rafia. So it seems to me that despite is a team that was going to fight for relegations, but they got a lot of options up front. Already 10 points at the Via del Mare, so they are amongst the best home sides. But the goal difference, if you look at home, it's 0. 6 conceded, 6 scored. So again, never a high-scoring side, always on the verge of time margins. They go behind, sometimes they recover, but they got the expected points different, minus 587. So basically, they should have conceded more than 6 goals. They should have had less points if you look at the expected goal difference. So be really careful when you treat them. For me, Torino away from home, it's a good bet. And I'm going to go for an Asian handicap here. 0 here, the same. I think Torino are not going to get beaten at the Via del Mare. If they win, you win. If they draw, no problem, money back.
All right, same as the game before, similar odds, and your opinion is the same, going for the away team with an Asian handicap 0. I guess you have to be really optimistic if you are a Verona fan, Danny, to go for Verona in this game. Verona to win is 10. Next game is Juve Verona, not because Juve is looking particularly well, although they are getting the results Allegri style, we have to say. They haven't conceded in the last 4, 10 points in these 4 games. But they are winning, Dani, and Verona, the opposite, 2 points away now from the relegation spots, only 2 points in the last 7 games.
For Verona, it's not yet panic station, but they are winless in 7 games, outclassed by Napoli. And in the previous 4 games, Verona, they didn't even get close to 1 expected goal. Last season, Verona only 10 points away from home. They started brightly, but perhaps rode their luck a little bit. If you look at those wins against Empoli and Roma, Juventus, on the other hand, credit to them because they kept a clean sheet in Milano, 4 consecutive clean sheets. In 2023, only Barcelona has kept more clean sheets than Juventus, who kept 16. That's exactly how Allegri likes it. They might not be spectacular just yet, but they are in a touching distance to the top of the league. Now, the challenge for Allegri is to use well the rest that they had midweek, because they didn't play in Europe, and use well all his 4 attackers who are coming back. Chiesa and Vlahovic coming back from injuries. If he can manage to get the most out of them, yes, Juventus are dangerous despite having a depleted squad at the moment, without Danilo, without Alexandro, without De Sciglio, Fagioli, Pogba. They will have to add at least 1 or 2 players in January. But, credit to them. They won in Milan. The goal was very lucky, but, they didn't concede much to Milan. Milan expected goals was 0.24 in the end. Obviously, not playing in Europe in this case could be a blessing in disguise. I'm not expecting fireworks. Under 1.5 goals in the second half, 180. I think it could be a routine win. Juventus, maybe 2-0, perhaps 3-0 with couple of goals scored in the first half.
Juve to win and under 3.5 goals.
That's the line. That's the line.
Yeah, that's good. 2-0. You can see even in the last meetings between these two teams was Juve to win 2-0, 1-0, 0-1, 2-0. Yes. Business as usual for Juventus. On Sunday, another game for the relegation. Cagliari, Frosinone, but Frosinone, they are doing great. Actually, they are 6 points above the relegation. They lost to Bologna away from home. They are not as good as at home. 2 draws and 2 defeats. And Cagliari, Dani, still no victories for them. It was this close in Salerno, but no.
Crazy game. 4 goals in 10 minutes, 2 goals from Dia. Yes, Cagliari still winless. Only 5 goals scored. 3 of them scored by Luvumbu. Second worst attack in Serie A and second worst defense. And that's really concerning. 18 goals conceded, 9 in the last 3 games. They have paid a couple of mistakes they made at the back, especially from Radunovic, the goalkeeper, who's been replaced by Scuffe, but also lack of composure in front of goals. If you look, for example, at the expected goal figures for Cagliari, they should have at least 4 more points on the table. They do lack finishers. They do lack players with a cool head in front of goals. And now they play a Frosinone side who, by the way, got promoted alongside Cagliari, and everyone thought they were going to go down straight away. They were going to give bottom of the league. Not at all. It's a completely new team with a lot of young players, a lot of loanees. Di Francesco likes to play it on the front foot, and so far they've been really, really entertaining. They scored in 7 out of the last 9 games. They are one of the youngest side in Serie A. As I mentioned, they got goal scorers born in the new centuries. Soler, Reiner, Monterisi, always entertaining. As I said, only kept a clean sheet, of course, the away side, away to Udinese. But again, in that game, the expected goals of both sides were above 4. They 6 comfortably, 6 points above the drop. But a team that, rarely will play to a 0-0 draw this season. The goalkeepers of Frosinone are tops for saves made in Serie A, 41, and 8 times, by the way, Frosinone have hit the woodwork. I'm going to go for goals here. Over 2.5 goals. I think Cagliari can score a goal against Frosinone. I'm not sure they can keep a clean sheet. 194.
Well, Frosinone, they scored actually 12 goals scored, 13 goals conceded. So it's an entertaining team this season. In both to score, Dani is the best team in Serie A. 7 out of 9 games were both teams to score. for Frosinone. There you go. Next game, let's go to the north. Monza Udinese with Papu Gomez out of the team. Still growing Monza.
I want to ask you something. How come the Spanish anti-doping system takes so long?
Yeah, I don't know.
It took like 12 months to find out. It should be quicker, no? It's just a lab. It took a while, but Sevilla knew about it, and Monza took the chances. So I don't know who's been more dumb or more naive, or Papu Gomez himself taking a syrup that was used for the children. Does it actually work? If you feel ill and take a children's syrup, do you feel bad? I should try because I got plenty at home.
If we believe him.
Yes, exactly.
Mourinho was making taking the Mickey out of Papu Gomez after his dance with Galliani.
Yes.
Not good. Galliani elected senator, no, Danny? In Italy,
yes, Senator Galliani, who replaces Silvio Berlusconi, the late Silvio Berlusconi. So he's been elected in place of Silvio Berlusconi. So he's a senator now. Only 20% of people in Monza went to vote. So not a great turnaround. Galliani said people didn't know the elections were on. Let's go back to football. Let's go back to football.
Yeah, congratulations, Galliani's amount of business. He knows to do everything, and he's doing a great job with Monza, not only with Milan. They were coming from 2 victories before the defeat in Roma, but they fought until the end of the game, even with 10 men. Danny, Udinese with new manager, you said it, 3 consecutive draws for them, still no victories. Monza to win looks good to me.
It does, because Udinese are in such a poor run. 13 games with no wins, stretching back to last season. Negative record since 2018. This year, 2023, they only beat Sampdoria and Cremonese, who are sadly no longer with us in Serie A because they got relegated. That tells you the level of Udinese. Cioffi is back in charge. Interesting choice, because he's already been there. Then he left to join Verona. Last season got sacked by Verona after 9 games. Then Verona managed to get saved. But, with Udinese, Cioffi did all right. They finished 12 with 47 points. They are a strange side. I think they've been depleted of talent this season. They've sold Beto, Becao. They lost important players. They were almost about to sell Samardzic. They didn't. They haven't really got a center forward that can score goals. And without Deulofeu, they look really, really poor. But if you look at the stats, you think, wow, they are such an attacking side. 7th for shots taken. The thing is that they shoot from pretty much anywhere. Sometimes when even there isn't a clear chance on goal. Only 5 goals scored, 1 on goal, 1 penalty scored by Tuaven, first ever goal in Serie A for the 2018 World Cup champions. And Luca, their top scorer, is also top. Well, not top scorer because only for 1. He's also top for big chance missed 6. Maybe with a better attacker, as soon as the few injured players will come back, we'll see a different Udinese. Monza, on the other hand, down to 10 men against Roma. D'Ambrosio got sent off, lost in the end. They always concede chances. Di Gregorio, 2nd for saves made between the goalkeepers. They're also 3rd for shots taken. Again, a team that only had 1 0-0 draw since last season in Serie A. Very difficult. They're not going to score or not to concede. Only 2 out of their 9 games, by the way, have been over 2.5 goals. They don't have many forwards who can score goals, especially after Caprari got injured, replaced by Papu Gomez, of course. We haven't seen him. Unbeaten at home Monza, 2 wins, 2 draws. I think Udinese could score a goal here, probably lose. I'm going to go for both to score, 175.
Okay, both to score, in your opinion. If you go for Monza, 2.15. If you combine it, I guess it should be over 3. If you want Monza to win, and Udinese also in the score sheet. Well, Danny, the good games this weekend. Inter-Roma, let's go to the serious stuff. Inter-Roma, Mourinho cannot be on the bench in this time in San Siro. Is the best Roma of the season, 4 consecutive victories. We don't know what they are going to do in the Europa League against Slavia Prague. So the defeat against Genoa changed the situation for Roma. They won in San Siro last season against Inter. Inter, on the other hand, Danny, look very solid. They dropped points, though, in the last home game against Bologna in Serie A.
That's true, and Sassuolo taking the lead and they drop points, but the reaction against Salzburg after conceding the equalizer was great. That was one of those typical nights that maybe 3-4 years ago Inter would not have found a way to win it. They might even lost it and the stadium will start to get a little bit itchy. No, after 5 minutes, got a penalty. Calhanoglu scored and actually had a third goal disallowed by a very marginal offside. So good sensation, good feeling from Inter. I think the problem with Inter, most of all, is psychological. Sometimes they think they're just gonna roll over teams and they're gonna be easy, comfortable. They need to be staying focused all the time because probably at the moment they got the best squad in Italy and surely the deepest one, although a little bit short in attack, of course, without Arnautovic out until November. The mind games from Mourinho have already started. Mourinho said he didn't know Lukaku was that important for the Inter fans because the Inter fans are going to whistle him. They're going to be 50,000 whistles at the stadium to make sure Lukaku knows exactly what Inter fans thinks about him. So Mourinho already started the mind games and Inter should win the league by 20 points, etc. Old Jose, please change it, but he'll never change it anyway. But okay, he's still gonna get the applauses from Inter for what he did more than 13 years ago. Roma, I think against Monza, you could tell when Dybala is not there, they are a different side. They are less creative, they got less spark, but they got such a strong willpower. They got such a strong character, thanks to Mourinho, as we said. They do find winners that probably 3-4 years ago under Fonseca or under Di Francesco they would not have found. And so was the goal they scored with El Shaarawy at the weekend. It is interesting because both sides have scored in every single game in Serie A, and Inter has always taken the lead this season, apart from that game against Real Sociedad. They do score early at San Siro. Sanchez, by the way, scored again for Inter in the Champions League, and it's the fourth time they score at San Siro in the first 16 minutes. They really start games early. Now, Lautaro, very, very important at the moment, 25 goals in 2023. Calhanoglu, probably in Italy, the best midfielder we got, probably in the top 5 on Europe. Again, somebody that's gone a little bit under the radar, but in that position of deep line midfielder, he's been excellent. Roma, on the other hand, they score late. They score 5 times in the last 15 minutes. So they are a teams of comebacks. Normally, Inter and Roma games over 2.5 goals. Roma, on the other hand, another team that hits the woodwork a lot, 8 times, 6th clean sheet for Sommer this season, but you also have to look at against which teams he kept the clean sheet. Inter perhaps have had a slightly easy calendar, I would say. I trust Inter to start well, especially because they're going to be a little bit more rested, I suppose, than Roma, having played 48 hours before. Inter, Asian handicap, minus 0.25 in the first half, 180. What does it mean? It means if they win the first half, you win. If they draw the first half, you only suffer alpha loss.
Okay, Carbonaro is going for a draw in this game. Again, Roma, usually they don't do the business against big teams, but last season they were able to beat Inter away. You were criticizing Di Francesco, Danny. Di Francesco put Roma in the semifinals of the Champions League.
That's true. But in the following season, that's where things start. The wheels start to come out. No, but I mean, Di Francesco did an amazing job. It was a stronger Roma than it is now, I think. Nainggolan, Dzeko, and so on. Szczesny, I think. Szczesny was still Rui Patricio. No, Rui Patricio, sorry. Alisson, De Rossi. I mean, it was a stronger side, but yeah, congratulations for them, and it was a very good achievement. Of course, that win against Barcelona, that was fantastic.
Exactly, that header from the Greek guy Manolas, exactly, who went to Napoli later. Well, let's talk about Napoli. Then Napoli, Milan. Someone might have thoughts about what happened last season between these two teams. Of course, Milan won 4-0 at the Maradona in Serie A and knock out Napoli from the Champions League, but it's been a horrible week for Milan. Lost to PSG, lost to Juventus, only 1 goal scored in the last 4, and it was against Genoa in the last minutes for Napoli. Danny recovering at least from the 2 defeats at home against Fiorentina and Real Madrid with victories and with Kvaratskhelia shining.
Yes, these are two sides that are still looking for their identity. Napoli have won against Verona, against Union Berlin, but they are a shadow of the team that dominated last season. They are really, really far away from the level that they showed, especially in Europe when they went and beat Liverpool, Ajax, Rangers, Eintracht. Look, I think Union Berlin, they are in a very poor form at the moment. They're not a poor side, but it's a team that comes on the back of 8 consecutive defeats, and they're nowhere near the quality of Eintracht last season when Napoli went there and dominated. But they were so able to find the spaces behind the defense. They had a proper game plan. This time against Union, Napoli kept the ball a lot. They moved it very slowly. They played poorly. They only had one shot on target, thanks to the assist from Cravascelli to Raspadori, who scored. But really, it is a team that doesn't seem to be able to either play direct football. They throw it long, sometimes even too much, and not even to keep it very well. Lobotka has not been at his best. Cajuste, the new signing, has been good against Verona, bad against Union, so it's very difficult to judge him. The things about Napoli is that they got 3 players in Serie A top for shots taken. In the top 5, there are Osimhen, who's injured by the way, Cavascelli and Raspadori, but they don't score enough goals. So sometimes they do rush chances, shots, etc. So it's not quite working, and probably it might not really even come back to the level of last season. Based on expecting points, they should be second. So perhaps they've been a little bit unlucky in some games, but really it's been disappointing to see how the team has changed, not tactically, but in their approach. And for Milan, now the question mark is, are they good enough to compete against top sides? Because as you mentioned, lost against Inter, lost against Juventus without really creating a proper chance. Of course, they were down to 10 men in the second half and the first half, but still, should have more. Against PSG, created, but they do lack that cutting edge. There's a lot of criticism in Italy about Leao. Milan best player. The criticism that he sometimes disappears in big games. It is a little bit hit and miss. In the Serie A, the stats are good: 16 dribbles completed, 3 goals, 3 assists, but only 3 big chances created. So he's not consistently good. And I still remember the amount of goals he missed against Newcastle in the Champions League. So this is going to be a test for Milan. Look, none of these two teams are going to lose the Scudetto on Sunday, but they will know if it's going to be really, really, really hard to win it. Napoli to take the lead. 183 at home. That's what I go for.
Well, I think if they lose, Inter can put 8 points with Napoli, for instance, and this is a really big difference. Let's see what Inter does also against Roma, and perhaps we see a very entertaining Serie A with so many teams involved in the Scudetto, or Inter, for everyone I think is the best team with the best squad, can put some difference in the table. For Carbonaro, this is a draw no bet. For Napoli, safe bet. I wouldn't call it safe bet.
Well, not safe, because remember they lost against Fiorentina and against Lazio at home.
Exactly.
And if Milan plays well on the counter, as they did last season, they can get unpicked. This season they're without Kim as well. They were without Kim as well last season in the Champions League. So I wouldn't call it a safe bet.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, I fancy more Napoli at the moment. Yeah, definitely.
They lost 3 out of the last 4 home games, including also the Champions League one against Real Madrid. Talking about surprises, Danny, on Monday we have 2 games.
Yes.
And we have Empoli. Empoli, someone was commenting and regretting betting on Fiorentina last Monday because it was a huge surprise. Empoli winning in the derby against Fiorentina, only 3 goals, still 7 points out of the relegation zone. You cannot do more with less goals. The positive thing for Empoli then is 3 clean sheets in the last 4, and Atalanta is visiting them.
And since Andrea Azzoli took over from Zanetti, the team has changed. They are more solid. They do concede a little bit less. And the good thing for Empoli is now easier fixtures are coming up. They played most of the top teams already. So you would expect them. It's a team that has got goal scorers like Soghiasi, Caputo, Baldanzi. I think it is a team that could improve and climb up the table. I don't think they're going to be relegated, mark my words. By the way, Caputo scored against Fiorentina, and all his last 5 goals have come on a Monday. Guess when they play this time? on a Monday. So here we go. You have it for you. Atalanta, on the other hand, the 5th clean sheet they kept against Genoa, with a little bit of shaky moments because Carnesecchi had to make a good save. They got a lot of options on the bench. When you can call on the likes of Pasalic, Muriel, I think you're always going to look to affect the games. The question mark is whether Gasperini is going to continue playing with 3 up front, with the Catelere, Scamacca, and Lukman. Away, they've already lost 3 games and suffered a comeback from Lazio. They play tonight in the Europa League, so let's see how they do. They go to Austria, but so far they've done really, really well. I don't buy into this idea that Atalanta are going to become out of a sudden defensively sound, but normally they do score goals. Both to score. 180. This is a difficult goal, by the way.
Indeed, very difficult. Well, what is a trip, Danny, from the north of Italy to Austria? There.
So, yeah. From Lask, a couple of hours, 3 hours from Bergamo.
Exactly.
It's not about the trip. It's about the complete. I mean, last season Atalanta were not playing in Europe. This season they are. So far they've been excellent, but you can't always expect to keep a clean sheet. And as I said, Empoli, they do have goal scorer. They do like a Monday. Unlike anybody else, they do like a Monday.
What Gasperini has done with this team and the board, no? Because 5 years ago, 10 years ago, Atalanta was a team struggling to stay in Serie A, and now we are talking about them, about almost
change the philosophy.
Change
the philosophy. Played on the
really
front foot. Giving more chances to young players, and the formula of Atalanta is always the same: buy cheap, sell them really, really expensive. But Gasperini has been good also at changing the tactics these times around, and also last year they are less gang ho, they are less reckless, but still they do have in their pedigree to be high scoring side, and they do concede chances as well.
Well, last game, Danny, Fiorentina is playing against Lazio. Really good game to finish this video. Lazio, harsh defeat in the Champions League. It's going to be tough for them to qualify, but we will talk about it in a couple of weeks when Champions League is back. In the Serie A, Danny, 3 victories in the last 4, only losing to Milan for Lazio. Fiorentina, it broke everything in that defeat against Empoli. Yes. Because away from home also they are doing good. They beat Napoli, Udinese, and Genoa on the road.
For Lazio, the problem is mental, it's psychological. Obviously, there is no doubt that the squad is good enough, as good as last year, only because they lost Milinkovic-Savic. I don't understand such a dip in form. They got a problem of personalities. They tend to start the game slowly, and against Feyenoord, they really suffered the aggressivity of the Dutch side. Then they manage to get back into the games. They sometimes find the net, but yes, it is really that initial reaction to the force of the opposition. They do concede a lot of goals in the first half, 9 in 12 games, only kept 2 clean sheets in Serie A. They were clinical against Sassuolo. They do lack a little bit of consistency, though. And again, I wonder how much they're going to be in the Champions League, because the next game against Feyenoord, it is decisive for them. Fiorentina, on the other hand, I'm sorry, guys, if you ruined your ACCA. I didn't go for a Fiorentina win. If you remember, I went for goals because Fiorentina like this. Sometimes they like themselves a bit too much. They believed a bit too much in themselves, and they get stung. Look, I think they were also lucky because they got all of the ball. They had more shots on target than Empoli, but they got picked on the counterattacks. That's the way they play. They play high line. They risk it. They often leave the defenders one-on-one. They didn't score, which is a bit an oddity because they had scored in the previous 12 Serie A games. Now they play midweek this Thursday in the Conference League. Maybe they are pushing a little bit above the weight. If you look at the expected goal difference is -4.7, so they have scored a lot of goals with individual praise of brilliances. They've been said a couple of times by Terracciano, but maybe they are slowly returning to their mean. But away from home they beat Napoli. I'm gonna go a little bit against the logic here. Under 2.5 goals, 185. I can see Lazio struggling at the moment, but I'm not sure Fiorentina, again, as I said, they can continue to score so many goals as they did.
Okay, so for you, this is an under. Gersau is saying that they deserve relegation, Fiorentina, for
No, they don't. They are the third highest scoring side in Europe in 2023. So at least it's entertaining. For once they didn't score, they can be forgiven.
We like the Viola.
Yeah,
By the way, Danny, class of geography is far. Bergamo from Graz is 8 hours by car.
Bloody hell.
Or 7 hours.
I thought it
It's
was
kind of
closer.
far. 660 kilometers. It's quite far.
I think they'll go with a plane. They'll land in Vienna
Yeah,
or
I guess they
I
have the money.
don't know, Innsbruck. I don't know where it is now. I can't place it, but yeah.
It's far. It's far. Graz from Milan or from Bergamo. Well, Danny,
Okay.
tell me your safe bet.
Juve to win 140.
Yeah, I could see that coming. And Yoraka?
Sassuolo Bologna, Asian handicap X2, Lecce Torino, the same. No, sorry. I need to risk. What am I saying? Again, because then the video editors, he can't do it. Sassuolo Bologna, double chance X2, Lecce Torino X2, Monza, Asian handicap 0, Napoli, Asian handicap 0. Total odds 541.
Let's see if we can see it in the screen. Otherwise, we will put it in the comments. Well, Danny, this is it. We will put it in the comment section.
We'll put it in the comments. Just put it. But you'll have a short. There is the shorts, the video edit.
You watch the video,
short.
and that's
Follow
it.
on YouTube. You got everything there. You cannot go and say, well, I didn't know about it. It's always there. It's always there, one way or another.
Exactly. Good luck, Danny. Good luck to everyone. Thanks, Danny. See you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.